KanColle 始まるよ。
In this video we will be preparing a fleet for battle. However, before we do that we will have to go through some basic loadouts that are recommended for each ship type as well as a brief look at fit bonuses. Here we have Nagato without anything equipped. She is a BB, so of course boosting her firepower would be our main goal. And I can already guess what you're thinking. Why not just fill all her slots with the biggest big guns around? Well, you see, you can do that and allow her to hit very hard once. But what if I told you that you can make her hit harder, and twice, with less guns? Let me show you how to do that. First we will equip her with 2 large guns. You may notice a few things, but we will save those finer details for later in the video. Next we will equip a seaplane, in this case a 0 model 11B skilled. And with that, Nagato can now do double attacks under certain conditions during battle. Double attacks provide a 20% damage modifier per attack, and a 10% accuracy modifier. The double attack setup can be done on CAs and CLs as well. As you can see, we still have a 4th slot empty. All BBs have 4 slots, with a few exceptions not to be covered here. In this 4th slot we can equip anything that is not a gun to maintain the ability to double attack while carrying extra utility. For example, we can put a radar in this slot to improve her accuracy and fleet loss. However, there is one special piece of gear only BBs can carry that we can put in this 4th slot. Putting an AP shell in this slot will allow the BB to also be able to do what is called an AP Cutin or APCI. APCIs are a powerful single-hit attack that gives a 30% damage modifier and accuracy modifier. While the raw numbers may make it seem like this would be weaker than the double attack, it is anything but weaker. APCIs are highly effective against heavily armored abyssals. Additionally, the APCI setup will not undo the double attack, allowing a BB equipped with 2 guns, a seaplane, and AP shell to be able to do both double attack and APCI given the right combat conditions. This is one of many reasons why veteran players tend to recommend obtaining AP shells ASAP to new players. CAs and CLs, as we've just established, can also do double attacks with the same setup as BBs with medium guns. While CLs can only have 3 slots at most, CAs will have 4 slots at most. So while for the most part you would be better off equipping CLs for just double attack to maximize their daytime power, CAs can bring additional utility in their 4th slot. Of course, since they do not have access to AP shells, they cannot do APCIs. Thus most players will equip them with surface radars to maximize surface combat efficiency. However, nothing stops you from bringing other kinds of equipment to match any other needs. An example will be to equip an AA shell to increase damage against installations, but that is a topic for another time. Before we cover ships that can equip offensive planes, let's quickly cover DDs. DDs cannot equip planes, however, you will still want to give them 2 guns. This will allow them to do double attacks during the night phase instead. Most players who bring DDs into surface combat will equip them with 2 guns and radar so that they can increase the fleet's loss while not being complete deadweight. However, there are other setups which make DDs much more than just surface combat. We will cover those later in this video. CAVs and BBVs are special in the sense that you can equip a seaplane bomber instead of a spotter to maintain double attack while gaining the ability to do some aerial bombing. It is here where we have to be careful of which slot the planes are equipped. On the left of T slot where a plane is equipped, you will notice that there is a number. This is the hangar size of the specific slot. The larger it is, the more there are of the specific equipped plane. Since bombers can be shot down, the larger the slot is, the more enemy AA and air power is needed to drain that slot to 0 during excursions. To truly understand how important slot sizes are, let's move on to CVs where there are wide variations in slot sizes. CVs can be the most complex ship types to gear up, mainly due to slot sizes being unique to each ship and how those slot sizes work. Here we have Saratoga Mark II Mod 2, we will use her to show all the most common kinds of setups you can use on CVs. First let's show you her slot sizes with a setup that's called Fighter Mule, where we equip her with only fighters. As you can see, her slot sizes from top to bottom are 37, 24, 19, and 13. And you can see that adds up to the hangar size in her stats. The higher the size of the slot, the more of the plane equipped in that slot there will be. Thus the more air power a fighter will be able to provide, and the longer it will take for the slot to be emptied by the enemy. Next let's show you a typical attack setup. Here Sarah has attackers in her first 3 slots and a fighter in her last slot. Typically you would want to have bombers of some kind in the largest possible slots. A slot size of around 20 will be good for this. This is why we have attackers in her first 3 slots, as they are large enough that we can have enough of them survive a whole trip. But we also want to be able to take down enemy planes, as such we have put a fighter in the smallest slot on Sarah. Fighters are less vulnerable to enemy A than bombers, so we can put them into smaller slots. However, depending on where you send your fleet, you may need more air power, in which case you will want more fighters than bombers instead. This will make more sense after we've covered combat. The final setup is called CV Cutin or CVCI. Here we have attackers, dive bombers, and fighters all equipped on one ship. Typically you would only want to use this kind of setup with powerful planes and on ships that have high luck, along with slot sizes that can make use of this feature effectively. Having one of each will allow all 3 kinds of CVCI to become possible on the CV, with damage modifiers ranging between 15 to 25%. Before we move on, let's go over plane proficiencies or ranks. They range from no rank up to the highest of double chevrons. These are very important. The higher the rank of the plane, the stronger they become. Fighters of high rank will provide more air power and bombers will do more damage. However, upon taking high losses during combat, planes can lose ranks. This is why we highly recommend that you prioritize the large slots for bombers and the smaller ones for fighters, as regaining those ranks can be annoying. Also try to equip a high-ranking bomber in the first slot to double the rank bonus of the plane and thus deal extra damage. While there are many kinds of setups for all ships to do what is called an AntiAir Cutin or AACI to swat planes out of the sky, generally players will relegate such duties to DDs, as they are the only ship type capable of doing AACI while maintaining double attack during night. Typically this will require 2 green guns that have 8 AA or higher, and an air radar. Certain DDs will be able to do AACIs differently, but even then it is generally a combination of green guns and air radar. Torpedo Cutin or TCI is a very commonly used nighttime only special attack. Used mostly with ships that have strong torpedo power and high luck, this attack comes with a 50% damage modifier that is applied twice. In other words, it is a severely powerful double attack but with torpedoes. A TCI setup requires at minimum 2 torps equipped. After that, any remaining slots can be anything you deem necessary. You can equip more torpedoes to improve damage, star shells to boost trigger chance, maybe a radar to maintain favorable loss. Most players will equip every slot with torpedoes to maximize damage output, but the choice is yours to make. Be warned that should the dice roll fail, the ship will simply launch a rather strong torpedo attack instead, which will pale in comparison to the TCI that would have happened. Anti-submarine warfare or ASW setups are fairly straightforward when it comes to dedicated loadouts. Generally you would want at least sonar and a depth charge for a synergy effect, increasing ASW damage by 15%. However, there is also the possibility of opening ASW strikes or OASW to consider. For DDs and CLs, reaching 100 anti-sub stat will allow OASW to become possible. For DDs this is lowered to 60 with sonar, 75 without sonar. For CVEs you will need 65 and a plane with at least 7 anti-sub to be able to do this. There are ships that can break these rules, such as Isuzu Kai Ni, but this will be covered in another video. OASW is very important, and achieving the necessary anti-sub threshold is usually a priority. However, this is very difficult for new players without access to strong ASW gear, As such, keep in mind the synergy setup and plan your missions accordingly. You may have noticed when equipping certain pieces of gear on certain ships will show additional bonuses. This is called fit bonuses. Fit bonuses generally occur when equipping certain equipment, or combination of equipment, on a ship of matching ship class. Ship classes can be called families or subcategories within ship types, such as the Uegumo class and Shiratsuya class of destroyers. A common example of such bonus combinations is equipping a Uegumo class ship with two 12.7 cm DKNI guns and a surface radar. Doing so will give a Uegumo class ship even more firepower, torp, and evasion. Naganami is notoriously known to have become one of the strongest surface combat DDs with a full set of bonuses. While early on you may not see much in the way of meaningful gear with fit bonuses, eventually you will begin to gain gear that can drastically improve a ship's overall impact. Before we finish, we should cover expansion slots or hole punch. These are a special slot that can be added to ships of level 30 or higher. This can be done by clicking on the bottom right side of the ship card on the right side of the screen in the refit menu. Confirming the expansion will give the ship an extra slot to equip a limited arsenal of gear. For the most part, this can be used to equip extra utilities such as extra armor or machine guns. Some ships come with a special list of gear they can equip into the hole punch slot. The item needed to hole punch ships can be earned from quests or bought from the item shop with real money. In general, however, it is recommended to avoid buying and using any while new to the game, but taking them as quest rewards when possible in the meantime. This covers the bare basics behind setting up ships for battle. There is much more to equipping gear for specific situations and niche loadouts. We also haven't covered anti-installation setups and special cases, which we may do in another video. Hopefully this video will give you a good start from which to base your decisions from. More detailed information on how the math behind everything works can be found in detail at the KanColle Collection Fandom Wiki. In the next video we will finally go through combat in the game, covering day and night battles and all the phases in each. I'll see you there. Bye for now.